Watch the Minister of Industry get called out for failing to secure Canadian jobs.
Another day and more costly slogans. But now Canadians are learning it was a bait and switch. Today, another terrible tragedy. As they laugh, 1,200 workers at the Ingersoll Cami plant learned that they would lose their jobs after that Prime Minister promised he would negotiate a win and that he would keep their jobs here in Canada. They join with 2,000 workers in Brampton, many more in Oshawa. How does the Prime Minister look in the eyes the very workers that he sold out and betrayed?
Industry.
I'll tell you how the Prime Minister how he will deal with the auto sector. He will look at the auto workers in the eyes and he will say, "We will fight for your jobs." And that's exactly what we're doing. Every single day, we're negotiating back in Washington, but also, this is important to say that I met this morning with the Canadian CEO of GM. I was in conversation with the head of the labor union of Unifor, and I also talked to Doug Ford, and I talked to Vic Fideli. And you know what? We're putting in place a response group. We will make sure that we fight for these jobs. We need to make sure that...
She announced just now that she talked to this person, and she talked to that person, and she talked to this other person, and she talked, and she talked, and they talk, and they talk, and nothing gets done, Mr. Speaker. Canadians are tired of talk. They want their job. This government, or this Prime Minister, looked these workers in the eye and said he would negotiate a win, that he would protect auto jobs, that there would be an all-in-Canada supply chain that would keep them working. They even gave $250 million tax dollars to GM for this plant. And now those workers don't know how they're going to pay their bills. How does this government explain the broken promise and betrayal?
Honourable Minister of Industry.
Fight for these jobs and we will hold the companies to account. That's right. That being said, let me talk to you about important jobs. 150 new jobs in St. Benoit, Alstom. 700 new jobs at AstraZeneca. 500 new jobs at Ferrero in Ontario. K&S Potash. 50 new jobs. Hitachi Energy. 500 new jobs. This government is building a strong Canadian economy.
A Trudeau-era Liberal claiming to build a strong economy. What a joke.
Mr. Speaker, after the Prime Minister failed to negotiate a win with Trump, Canada's auto industry has been hit yet again. Devastating news from this morning where over 1,200 highly skilled auto workers at the Cami Ingersoll plant are being laid off by GM indefinitely. This adds to the 2,200 job losses in Oshawa and the 3,000 announced in Brampton. The Liberals have sold out our auto workers. So will the Prime Minister finally admit that he's lost control of the wheel and is driving our auto sector off the cliff?
Yeah!
Industry.
My colleague comes from the region and I look forward to working with him to finding solutions. Obviously, we will fight for these jobs. Not only will we do that, but this morning we were already on the phone with the company to be in solution mode. We were with the GM CEO, with the Unifor Labour, and also with Doug Ford and Vic Fideli. Our goal is to bring back a new model to Ingersoll, and we're on it. Thank you.
I've been talking to the auto workers who are losing their jobs now because of their failed policies. An auto worker in Ingersoll called me this morning and says he doesn't know how he will pay for his mortgage. He doesn't know how he will feed his family. There is a real sense of anxiety in our community. The Liberals blew billions in EVs, and now Canadian workers are the ones that are paying the price and their families. So, will the Liberals finally hit the brakes and stop selling out Canadian workers?
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, my colleague is right in saying that there's real anxiety right there, and I agree because I've been in contact with workers and I feel it as well. So our goal is to make sure that we are able to bring back jobs to Ingersoll, to work with the company, to work with the government of Ontario, to work with the labor unions. But meanwhile, we'll make sure that we continue to engage with the United States because at the end of the day, we know that this is because of the unjustified tariff by the President against the auto sector. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, this news out of GM today is another devastating blow for auto workers. It comes less than a week after Stellantis announced 3,000 layoffs as they move production from Canada into the U.S. The Prime Minister looked Canadians in the eye and promised that in exchange for their votes, he would prevent auto sector jobs from happening. Well, they're happening. If the government included a Canadian-wide job protection plan in their $15 billion deal to Stellantis, they can simply invoke that clause. The minister who signed the contract should be able to answer this question. Did they include a jobs protection clause in the contract to Stellantis?
Mr. Speaker, I know that the Conservatives have been wanting to see the contracts that are linked to the Stellantis plant. And you know what? We've said yes. So the opposition on the committee will have access to the contracts. And they will discover that indeed we negotiated well. And indeed, Stellantis is on the hook, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, it's been a week, and all we've got from this minister is political theater. She's bragging about who she gets on the phone. She's bragging about the tough talks she's having. Here's the thing. If they actually included a jobs protection clause in the contract, all they have to do is invoke it. I'm starting to get a terrible feeling. I'm starting to worry that they signed a $15 billion deal with Stellantis and didn't include a guarantee to protect those Canadian jobs. Can the minister tell Canadians very clearly, explicitly, did they include a jobs protection plan for all jobs at Stellantis when they forked over $15 billion?
Mr. Speaker, I know that my colleague is trying to spook Canadians, but I just would like to remind him that the support that was given to the company was linked to the production of batteries, and therefore no money is spent.
I'm not sure what this was. Maybe it was her attempt at trying to magically wave jobs back into Canada, but that's not going to work.
I know my colleague's trying to spook Canadians right now, but I think what is really, really important to remember is that any support from the government was linked to the production of batteries. And in that sense, our support is linked from the moment that the production is happening. The production has not necessarily happened yet. That being said, Mr. Speaker, what we will do is to make sure that we hold Stellantis to account, because obviously jobs are important in at the Brampton facility, and we'll continue to fight for these jobs.
Every time she speaks, she claims that she is going to fight hard for Canadian jobs, but as the weeks go on, more and more Canadian jobs disappear. And I'm just going to put this out there again. I have moved all the live streams over to the second channel, the Windy Talks archive. So if you are interested in live streams, specifically Question Period, and maybe the odd committee, then you can sub to that channel and join us over there. Anyway, I would like to know what you think down in the comment section below, and have a good one.